Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
Hey, welcome everybody to the gorgeous episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSPR is my Twitter handle. Enjoy your Black Friday. Go buy some nice things for those who you care about. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. But we'll jump right into this instant reaction to the Raiders' 19-17 loss at Arrowhead. I think back-to-back days we saw some pretty incompetent head coaching by Eberflus, and we see a little bit more from AP. The explanation in the press conference didn't make any sense either, throwing the ball out of bounds and then doing whatever he did. But let's take people back to that last drive. Abdullah didn't go out of bounds, but he got down like the 30-yard line. At that point, it was like, I think 30 or 40 seconds left. What were your thoughts about that?
I think it was, they actually threw it to him on first down. So they actually completed the pass. I think they hiked it somewhere in the mid-20s. So I think they spiked it around, I could be wrong, it could be 12 or 13 seconds, but it was over 10. And they run up to the line and spike it. They didn't have any timeouts. It was second down. So that gets you to third down with like 12 seconds left, something like that. The issue there is you don't have any timeouts. So if you throw the ball in the field of play and you get tackled out of bounds, the game's over. So if you're going to run a play, you're going to want to run something towards the sideline. If it's not there, throw it away. But Antonio Pierce in the press conference came out and said the plan was just to throw the ball away. The plan wasn't to try to get 5 to 8 more yards. It was just, hey, we spiked it too early, essentially. We need to figure out how to run 5 to 6, 7 seconds off the clock here so that when we kick off, there's 5 to 7 seconds left and vice versa, which at my point is the communication, and I tweeted this out, the communication between the head coach and the offensive coordinator, the one who's communicating to the quarterback is the offensive coordinator. The head coach, they need to know, like, hey, man, if we pick up a chunk player on first down to Myers, what are we going to do after we run this play to Abdullah? Let's say it gets in bounds. What's the thought process here? And it clearly there was no communication. It didn't sound like that they've practiced a lot of these in-game situations where at some point, Scott Turner's got to get in the headset of Aidan O'Connell and basically say, hey, man, don't spike it here. Like, Antonio Pierce has got to be telling Scott Turner what he wants to have happen. And then Scott Turner's got to relay that to AOC. Hey, man, run up to the line, get everyone set, let it run down to 3 or 4 seconds before you spike it. That doesn't even take into the fact that he wasted a timeout prior to that.
Yes, he did.
When he ran the punt team out there. So they were a timeout short because he wasted a timeout when he ran the punt team on and then called timeout to send Carlson out to attempt a 58-yarder in 30-degree weather where he was struggling all day. He'd already missed 2 field goals. There's a lot of things that went wrong in the last 4 to 5 minutes of that game, and they're all in the ledger of Antonio Pierce just kind of got in the way of his football team again. Credit to Aidan O'Connell for moving him down the field. Credit to Brock Bowers. Credit to the O-line for holding up for most of the day. The players played their butts off. The coaching lost them this game.
Yeah, no question about it. I'm watching the thing right now live. Bowers had the catch that was at 105 with 1 minute and 5 seconds left. They had the next play was to Myers with 50 seconds left. I'm actually looking at the 34 seconds left. The ball they snapped it. Abdullah on that play on the outside. It is 28 seconds left at that moment. So 28 seconds left, and you have no timeouts left.
When did they spike it? How much was left?
I'm looking. It's playing right now in front of me, playing live in front of me. So when O'Connell gets on the center and he spikes it at 15 seconds left. So
15
seconds. So
okay.
15 seconds left.
They should have just let it run down to 5 at that point. There was no reason to spike the ball there if the plan was just to roll out and throw the ball away.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
I will say this. You would expect a professional football organization to be able to snap the ball and throw it away. We're not asking for rocket science here. So, I do understand there is a side of this. The players have to own this as well. And it sounds like in the postgame, Aidan O'Connell took the blame, saying it was his fault that he clapped his hands. Parham saw it. Parham taps JPJ, but then JPJ also said it was his fault as well. So both those players trying to take accountability. Clearly, one of them messed up. clearly they should be able to snap the ball and throw it away, but they didn't need to be in that situation. If the communication between the head coach and the offense coordinator was better as they were moving down the field and had a plan of what are we going to do and think ahead and stop and not react, then the Raiders probably win that football game.
Yeah, no question about it. I think that it was really it was just a collection of just mental errors, and I don't understand. I just like this is a moment where we keep saying like this moment is just too big. The job is too big. He can, and then to me to sit there and watch, guys who are I don't know what is his name again? Marvin Lewis is getting paid to be this consultant, but for him to sit silent on the, I don't have we don't have the view of the sideline, but if anything, he should be grabbing Antonio Pierce to tell him, hey, like, kick a field goal.
You don't have any timeouts here.
Yeah, yeah. You have no timeouts because a lot of things are happening. You have no timeouts here. I mean, somebody should be in there. They have a game strategist who's on the headset as well. Like all those things are there, and it's just like, how do teams still screw this up? Like, I think this is the thing that for me, if I was an owner, like this is the number one thing we're fucking doing. Like we are talking about this like 100. I'm gonna bring up 25 scenarios, and you're gonna walk me through every process. And you're gonna walk me through all these scenarios on what you would do in these scenarios because this should not happen. At the very least, give me the field goal attempt, and if Carlson missed it or gets blocked, then okay, you live with it. But you cannot live with not getting an attempt to win the game.
Or kick it with 15 if you're here's the other side of it. It's easy in retrospect for us to look at all these, but if you try it on third down and you mess up the snap, let's say the snap goes awry, you can still try to kick it on fourth down. So like even running a play to throw the ball away, you cost your team in case something happens on the field goal unit. Kicking a field goal at 15, getting it to, let's say it's 10 seconds left and then kicking out. If you give up a field goal with 10 seconds left and you kick off, you deserve to lose the game anyways. Just kick it out of the end zone, make them do something. There's a lot of things that went wrong down the stretch of that game. And as you mentioned, NFL football comes down to third down, red zone, and situational stuff. And the Raiders have been bad pretty much at all of those. I know Aiden O'Connell's been hurt, so he hasn't been in practice. He hasn't been running these 2-minute drills, but it almost looks like there was so much chaos there. Once they crossed midfield, they're like, I'm thinking, do they even practice these situations? Do they know what's going on? Clearly they do, but obviously the players involved, there was a lot going on. I don't know what happened on the last play. I have to go back and watch it. I didn't see guys shifting and moving around. So the illegal shift, I know Mayer didn't look like he was set. He was kind of pointing around. So I think that's where the penalty came. They never really gave a number. They just said illegal shift on the offense. That is not a dead ball penalty. So as long as it's, and I didn't see a false start. I didn't see anyone really move because if Mayer's not set, it's not a false start. It's an illegal shift or illegal motion. So the Raiders, that is not a dead ball penalty, but AP even said in the press conference, he didn't give a good answer on how it was explained to him, but he did say that whistles were being blown on the field. And an inadvertent whistle should stop the clock. Even if the refs call an illegal shift, then the referees botched that up too. So I'm interested to see what the lead official said after the game when they talked to him about what really happened there, because the whole thing was just completely combobulated.
Yeah, and I think this is a thing where like now, there gonna be some folks who will say, hey, maybe let's give AOC a chance here. He was 23 of 35, 340. I thought the bomb to Tucker was the best pass he's ever thrown as a Raider. I thought it was in stride. It was a great play. Good pass play to the bunch of Bowers as well. So on that play, McCormick ran the ball for 12 times for 5.3 yards a carry. Probably could have run the ball a little bit more with him. But then Myers and Bowers both having double digits as far as targets. 6 catches for Myers, 10 catches for Bowers. Bowers is having a great season. He's going to break the record for most by a rookie. I think the rookie record was by Odell Beckham, who has 91 catches. He's going to pass. He's going to pass him for sure.
Pass him next week.
Yeah, he might have him next week. Thoughts about Aiden O'Connell's performance, and then you also had Sam McCormick. he looks like that small, shifty running back that can really works when it works with this Raider offensive line.
Yeah, it looked like McCormick ran a couple of zone plays, some power plays there as well. And it looks like he just has that little burst and the vision to be able to see where the hole is and get through it, which we haven't seen from a Raiders running back all year. So at this point moving forward, I would expect he should get the carries early in the game and see what he can do with 15 carries in a game. I don't think at this point we need to see Madison or White get a few
Abdullah.
carries. Move Abdullah into the third down role. I thought Abdullah was fine for what he did. So feature those two guys and then use Madison kind of if you get in the red zone, get down close to the goal line when you need a power back, short yardage stuff. I thought Aiden O'Connell played fine today. Obviously taking the sack that got them out of field goal range was a bad sack. You can't drift back 15 yards and take a sack on third down.
Yep.
He had a pass to Myers that was completely behind him that would have been a big gain. They were off target on. He underthrew the first one down the sideline to Myers. It could have been a
Touchdown.
touchdown,
Yeah.
but it kind of held up in the air. But other than that, he had five passes down. I think five of his six longest air passes in his career so far happened in this game. And that was in the third quarter. So maybe there was another one after that, maybe the one to Bowers. But he pushed the ball down the field. It looks like, the Chiefs are trying to take away a lot of the underneath stuff because that's what the Raiders been running. It was good to see someone push the ball down the field. We hadn't seen Minshew do that. So kudos for Aiden O'Connell doing that. There's plays he wants back, but the play through to Bowers for the touchdown, he put some nice loft on that, got it over the corner, kind of in double coverage there for the touchdown.
Mhm.
He moved them down the field. He did what he needed to do to get them into field goal range. So like you couldn't really ask for more. Um, Obviously the downside of Aiden O'Connell, he can't move in the pocket. He takes some sacks because he just can't get away from guys, and we saw that today. And you kind of got what you got with him. He can be a guy in this league that if you need him for a week or two, you can count on him. But I still don't think long term that this is a guy you want under center for 17 straight weeks that can lead you to 12, 13 wins in a season. He's not that kind of player, but he's a guy that, right now is probably in line to be the backup next year or battle. If you take a first round rookie who you don't think's ready and you need him
Yeah.
to sit for 4, 5, 6 weeks, then you're okay with Aiden O'Connell. But there's a lot of the stuff we like about Aiden O'Connell showed up in this game, and a lot of the negatives showed up in this game as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that little target sheet where they show you little dots where all the balls are. Like you can't have like nothing in the middle of the fields. And he was outside the numbers a lot today, and he did a good job he did a good job for the most part. But like I said, I think it's silly to say that he would be the guy who I would say going forward to be the Raiders quarterback going forward. But the record is what 2-10 now. 2-10. So and they fought hard. How much of this is a little bit of juice because it's a rival and you're playing on national TV, the only game on television for the Raiders. So when they go back to that Sunday, not 10 a.m. start, not for the 1 p.m. start where nobody's really watching. That's when kind of the bugaboos really show out.
I think the team played with great effort today, and that's kind of what you want. It's a rivalry game. They're going
Yeah.
on the road. They're trying to avenge or do what they did last Christmas, get a big win under their belt. Some of these rivalry games, you can throw the records out. They
Yep.
played them tough in the first game. It got away a little bit in the fourth quarter. They scored a garbage time touchdown to keep it close. But the answer to your question lies next Sunday. They're going on the road to Tampa Bay for a 10 a.m. kickoff, and we'll see what juice is there. But
Extra rest,
whatever,
extra rest as well.
whenever the Raiders play the Chiefs, there's going to be juice. And
Yeah.
obviously, these teams don't like each other very much, especially after what the Raiders going in there and winning last Christmas and the whole puppet thing that went on in the preseason. And yeah, they've played once earlier this year, but this was the chance for the Chiefs to get home and get this team in front of them. We didn't see a lot of the Andy Reid trick plays where he was trying to rub it in. I think Andy Reid might be past that at this point, like they used to do the Raiders. Now they know, hey, this team's going to play us tough. And we can't get away with, that kind of stuff that we had prior after what happened last Christmas. And the Chiefs were there for the taking today. The Chiefs didn't win that game. The Raiders lost that game.
And I think that's 100% clear. You could definitely say I can clearly say that without any equivocations that's 100% was what happened in this ball game. The Raiders did not. The Raiders kind of gave it away. It was like they did everything humanly possible to give the game away. So Not a
They
good.
literally gave it away on the last play of the game.
They literally did. They literally did. And I knew when that fumble was. I knew once that fumble was recovered, I was like, "Oh, this is the out that the Chiefs needed. That ball is not coming back to the Raiders, and the game's going to be over." There.
I
So
think I sent you the tweet that Dubose sent out, and I know that I sent you the Eberflus one yesterday, where the
yeah,
Bears were the first team in 1,500 games to do what they did. Well, the Raiders today were the first team in at least 25 years to be down less than two. I think it was under 30 seconds with the ball in field goal range and not attempt a field goal. So that's 25 year. It said at least since 2000, so it may be longer than that. So both the Bears and the Raiders decide to make history in the worst possible fashion. And we saw what happened to Eberflus. I don't expect Antonio Pierce to get fired next week. He'll coach through the end of the year. I don't expect Mark
yes.
Davis to do
Mhm.
anything. But the way he's handling these games down the stretches, especially the close games, you want to give them credit for being in these games, but at some point the coach has
Yeah,
to put them in position to win the game.
exactly.
And there was those errors, wasting the timeout, deciding between punting and kicking, and then not having that in your back pocket, and then watching what happened with 30 seconds left in that game. That's on coaching as well as players. We can't excuse the coaches for those errors. They're in charge. They're telling them what to do.
Yes,
Whether you want
exactly.
to blame Scott Turner for not telling him to hold it and not spike it, or Antonio Pierce not communicating, we don't know what the communication between Antonio Pierce and Scott Turner were, but clearly they weren't on the same page of what to do um, down the stretch of that game.
Yeah, and yeah, it's clueless. I mean, they're really clueless in that situation. I mean, even in when I watched the Broncos play the Chiefs, and they had a great 4 minute drive, they were in the kind of the same situation. They got the field goal. They actually attempted the field goal and they got blocked. If that happens, like I said, if that you block field goal, miss field goal, you can live with that result opposed to what happened here. And I do think teams play it a lot. I think teams around football, college football, pro football, whatever, when it's a field goal attempt for a game winner, they play it differently than when it's a touchdown. They kind of play for the field goal. They're a lot more aggressive when it's a touchdown because you feel like you have to be. I kind of like the touchdown approach, if you will, and just get as close as you possibly can. Just keep playing, really aggressive. But they had the ball, like I said, they had the ball at the 30-yard line to not just, I guess they had no timeouts, but you have to just. There's no reason for me not to just kick the field goal, right there. Like you're worried about 10 seconds left and like that you might have for the Chiefs. Like, no, you've been hitting the quarterback all day. You've been getting pressure on the quarterback all day. Like it makes no sense. Just kick the field goal at 15 and then and live with the result.
I think for me, it's more the way he said it in the press conference. And if we're gonna if and this was an issue that came up prior to the game, if we're going to say Antonio Pierce is brutally honest, then we have to take him for exactly what he says and not try to bend it certain ways. So moving forward, whatever he says, that's the way I'm taking it. And for him to say, I was planning on basically just throwing the ball away. Now, if he came out and said, "Hey, we were going to try to get, 5 or 6 yards closer, throw a quick out. If it's not there, then throw the ball away," I'm perfectly fine with that. But that's not what he said. He said, "I was planning on just throwing the ball out of bounds." And even a 49-yard, I believe it would have been 48 or 49 yards in that weather is still not an easy kick. So, like, he could have tried to get closer. But he literally said, and I'm going to take Antonio Pierce moving forward for exactly what he says. I'm not going to try to bend it one way or another. What he says is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
And his exact words were, "We were trying to just throw it away and run off a few more seconds." He never said we were trying to get 5 to 8 more yards, try to throw a quick out, try to do this, try to do something. So if he would have said that, I would have been much better with the decision, but he didn't say that.
So here's my thing about throwing it away. So number one, if you don't get to the edge of the tackle box,
It's
and
grounding.
it's grounding. So you loss of down and you're pushed way back out of field goal range. So that's something you got to think about as well too. You can't just to say you throw it away. I mean, and if you also say you throw it behind or at somebody's leg, if somebody ever dives and picks the ball off, then you look even worse. Throwing an INT there.
You
So
just put trips to one side of the field and you just airmail it over their head. and throw it out of
Yeah.
bounds.
Yeah. And then you could do that. But I mean, it's
Or
like,
you just don't spike the ball at 15 and you wait till 7 or 5, and then you run the
yes.
field goal team out there.
Exactly. So I mean, there's other ways to have done that. Well, when they're in the shotgun too, it's like, okay, when you're in a shotgun, you gotta throw it. You gotta throw it in that situation when you're in a shotgun. You're not, if you're under center, then you can spike it, but you can't spike it when you're in the when you're there. So I mean, to me, the easiest thing, the easiest answer to this question, this puzzle, if you will, would be to kick the ball through the uprights or towards the uprights with
Now,
15
there's no
seconds
guarantee
left.
it was going through the uprights because based on
Yes,
what we saw earlier in this
yeah,
game, we don't
exactly.
know.
Yeah, towards the upsides. But like that's what they should have did. But they didn't do that, and that's what That's it's not a good look what the Raiders did here because they just did not get it done, and it kind of it makes you as a head coach it makes you look bad, and I think that's the worst part about it. It makes him look really really bad. So bad job by the Raiders here and Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, and now they've won one division game left. They're 0-5 in the division, and they're staring at not winning a division game this year, which is not good because, as Antonio Pierce says, his resume's on the grass, and that resume right now is brutal.
It's bad. You can't get worse than that. You can't
And
get
we
worse
know
than
there's
that.
issues. Like we don't need to go down the long line of issues. He's still the head coach. He's still in charge. This team is still playing hard, so give him credit for that. But he's also costing his team. And again, like we didn't even talk about calling it, you're going to defer to the second half. And thankfully, this didn't come back to bite them, but you have to look at the process. You defer to the second half. You have a chance. It's third and goal for the Chiefs. You have a chance to have 3 timeouts with a little over 2 minutes left and go down the field and get points. So what do? You waste a timeout on defense and still give up the touchdown. That's the second time they've done that in the last couple of weeks, by the
Yeah,
way, right before halftime. So you cost yourself a timeout. You start moving the ball. You decide to run the ball on 2nd and 10. You lose yardage, and at that point, you basically have given up because they got sacked on the next play. They still gave the ball back to Kansas City with over a minute left. So he went from we got close to midfield at 2nd and 10. I'm scared because there's a minute 30 left. If we don't get it here, we're going to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes with too much time. So let's run it, and they ran it and they ended up giving the ball right back to him with a minute left. So like he takes his foot off the gas pedal. Like the one thing that's bothered me the most about Antonio Pierce is he says a lot of things and then he does the exact opposite. And we talked about this last year, down the stretch. Like what he says is not what he does. He's
yeah,
not about it, if that's the way that you would say it. So like if you're gonna go for it in the 2 minute drill, put your foot on the gas and go for it.
yeah, exactly,
Like, are you
exactly.
going to run on second down at that point? Why are you running on second down when you're at like the 45-yard line?
Yeah,
When you just got two pretty big plays.
and we also have to figure out what's the mindset, what's the meal prep, what goes on during the week for Patrick Graham when he goes at Arrowhead, and why can't it translate to any other team when they play anybody else? Because it seems like when they
The
play
pass
there,
rush was eating today for the
yeah,
first
yeah,
time in a while.
yeah. I mean and that's probably true, but like it just seems like they play better. They play really well in this moment. And I'm not sure why they play well there. No, and when they play somebody else, they're getting up 30 points a game,
I would ask
left and
him,
right.
please don't drop Max Crosby 15 yards into coverage ever again. Please don't do it.
Did you see? Okay, two things. I texted you about the they had a little quick graphic on Amazon. Amazon is really good. I like Amazon's coverage, where they showed the tackle for for the Chiefs, how far back he is.
Taylor, yeah.
They tell how far back he is. I thought it was a really good demonstration of like how far back he is. Like he's not on the line.
He's not close to where he's supposed to be.
He's not close to where he's supposed to be, and they never call it. So I think that was like a big thing that
They
that
did
I
they did call it in this game, I think twice.
twice, yeah. So, but
But
yeah, and
he does it every play. And like if it's only going to hurt you 2 out of 60 plays, then keep doing it.
they keep doing it. So I don't know what that's about. As far as that goes, the other point kind of slipped my mind, but I thought their coverage was really good. But like as far as like the Raiders just finding a way to continue to lose, I mean that's just what they've been doing under this head coach, and I think like there is, I mean you're gonna get Wahoos online who say wild things. So
I've
like
seen a lot of them the last 3 weeks.
yeah,
They're
well,
coming out of the woodworks. Everyone's frustrated, but I think
yes.
There was a moment this week where I almost said, you know what, screw it and just go to Blue Sky. Like I don't want to deal with all these whack jobs.
Yes, yes, yes.
And like I'm just gonna start blocking people. Like people that are
Yeah,
just off the chain and don't want to have a conversation. I'm just gonna start
yeah.
blocking them all. And if you guys can't
Well,
see my tweets, I'm sorry.
yeah, like seriously, and you miss some quality tweets if you do so. If you do that on people out there, but it just I can't blame you or blame anybody for blocking people because they're making this out to be. It's getting to a level where it's like not like it's not about on the field. And I get you're frustrated. I get you. I guess like my favorite thing is like people would rather lose and admit they're wrong. We were the folks who were gung ho on AP were wrong. You're wrong.
I were wrong.
You were wrong, and it's okay to take an L. Take an L. I thought Zach Wilson was going to be a good quarterback. I'm taking the L. I took the L on that one. Like what I mean. Like it happens. Like you take the L in sports. It's not. He is not. He's not ready for this position. And he clearly has struggled with every aspect of it. I mean, I think the guys show fight sometimes, and they show whatever. For the most part, they show fight and they play hard. But like the strategy part of it, that's what you're there for. The game management, that is what you're there for, and you have to do it. You have to do it on time in the game. Like you can't do it on the fly. You can't be doing it when it's or thinking about it. Oh, I gotta watch the film. No. You don't get to say that. Like you have to go out there and do it on the fly. And how you're not practicing this shit with all the hours you put through as a head coach, I don't know what the point is if you're not going to be practicing these game moments.
I think a lot of people are going to hear this and be like, "Oh, they're piling on AP now." But I stress those people go back and listen to the podcast down the stretch last year as we got into January. Even after he was hired, we've always stressed the game management, the decisions, the situational awareness. We needed to see growth. Like we knew he was young, but like you're expecting like the motivation stuff is great. You need that, but like he also has to manage a staff. He has to manage everyone that's involved. Then he has to manage the game. Then he has to manage the 2 minutes. Then he has to manage the middle eight. Then he has to manage the end of the game. He has to manage red zone. He has to manage the timeouts. He has to manage the challenges. Now, I tweeted he should have challenged that third down play that we thought there was a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he was right, but it was rushed. They ran up to fourth down. They didn't get it. Like even if you challenge it and you don't get it, you
Yeah.
get time to sit there and think about, okay, what's a good fourth down play for us here? Where can we do something rather than just run a dive right up the middle? That didn't work. So um
What was the rush for anyway?
I don't know. And like I want AP to succeed. I would love it if the Raiders were 10-2 right now. I would love it if they were 8-4 and AP was showing that he's growing into this position. But every week it's another issue where he's not. And we can blame it on the quarterback play. I'm going to tell you right now, like Tom Telesco didn't just go in there and sign Gardner Minshew without AP's knowledge or AP knowing what was going on. And we AP was involved in those decisions. He may not have agreed with it. We'll never know whose idea it was, but AP was involved in all those discussions. So when people want to separate the GM and the coach, those guys are all together. The pro player department, they're talking to the coaches, they're talking to the coordinators. What kind of systems? Who do we need to sign? Like who fits here? Like
Mm-hmm.
the fact they went out and got Gardner Minshew on day one of free agency tells me that everyone was in line. That wasn't a like half the people in the building were like, no, we don't want him. They got him on day one. It was like Christian Wilkins, boom, Gardner Minshew. It's not like they signed him in freaking June before camp started. So like
Yeah.
everyone in the building was on board for the most part.
Yeah, and then also too is like when you're a baseball manager, when you're a basketball coach, football coach, you have assistant coaches who you assign certain tasks to. So hey, Marvin, I need you to be in charge of this. Let me know about this, whatever. Like when should I be going for it? When should I be throwing a red flag? If I don't see it, if I don't see you're gonna be my guy
That
for
that
that.
that play
Yeah.
was close enough in the moment for
To
him to throw
call.
the flag,
Yeah.
whether he was right or wrong.
Yeah. Has he thrown the flag all year? Like I remember.
He threw it last week over 4 yards on a first down play. So he won and made it 2nd and 1. And then the Broncos immediately got like 20 yards on the next play. So like the timing of when he's throwing these flags, like who
Yeah.
cares if you throw the flag on a 2nd and 1 play, or it was first down, that got reverted back to 2nd and 1 in the second quarter. I think it was the second quarter. It was definitely in the first half. They picked up 4 yards by moving the ball back, and the Broncos got a first down the next play. So that's inconsequential in the grand scheme of the game.
Yeah.
This was a third down, and even if they moved the ball a half a yard up, like It's the time that you would sit there and be able to talk over with the offense coordinator. What are we going to do here on fourth down? Rather than if you saw AP in that situation, he ran down the sidelines and he was talking to the side judge the whole time, and then they snapped the ball. Like
Yeah.
you didn't see him on the headset talking to Scott Turner. You didn't see him talking to Matt Sheldon or should I throw the flag? He was standing literally right next to the ref arguing over the spot.
And also, too, in that moment, you throw the flag, they're looking over it. You can be talking to Scott Turner and North Turner and say, hey, if we don't get this, what do you got for fourth down? Because I want to go for it. Like, things like those are kind of thinking man's things that I don't see either. And then also for the group of the he has no quarterback. This also showed that when he gets quality quarterback play, his coaching still is in question.
I think on that front, I've seen a lot of people basically say Tom Telesco forced him to start Gardner Minshew. The head coach of this football team is Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce makes the decision on who starts. So, like,
yeah.
if we're going to blame anyone for the Gardner Minshew playing this year, that blame goes to AP. The signing of him can go to Tom Telesco, and AP's part of that, but I would say more of that goes to Tom Telesco. But starting day one, and I'll fully admit, I said Gardner Minshew should have started. I was out of training camp practice. Aiden O'Connell was horrible. Gardner Minshew was just slightly less horrible. But the version of Gardner Minshew that we saw this year is not the version that we saw last year with the Colts. And being a veteran and seeing that he played better last year, that's what we were expecting. That didn't happen. We were wrong.
Yeah.
But Aiden O'Connell was awful in training camp. We have to admit that as well.
Yeah, and like I said, this is where Aiden O'Connell raises the bar a little bit, and now he goes faces Todd Bowles next week. And then if you see a regression, we can't sit there and go back and forth with a yo-yo and say he should start, he shouldn't start. Like he's a backup quarterback in this league, and that's what it is.
He's fine. Keep him on the roster next year.
Yeah,
Obviously, he's not making any money for the next 2 years.
Exactly.
He shouldn't go into camp as QB1. No way.
Absolutely not.
I think we should end it there. Like, I don't know if we can top that.
We're done. We're done. All right. Black Friday. Go
I gotta go to Best Buy.
Go Best Buy, do your thing.
Yeah.
All right, Shaw. Take care. Have a great day. Go Raiders.
All right. Take care.